I am a huge believer in learning from others, especially learning from other people that are already at a level where you want to be in life, which is why in this video, we're going to be talking to 5 other resellers that are absolutely dominating at their level. As resellers, we should always be looking to learn and improve, whether that's in our systems or our processes, or just the way we think about our current business. This video is mainly for the beginner reseller out there, but if you are an intermediate reseller, you're going to learn some keys and some tips as well that you could apply in your business. With all the talk recently of slow sales and summer slowdown and eBay glitching out, I really think it's important for us as resellers to focus on what is ahead. And by learning from other people that are doing it at a high level, we can gain some insights as to how they handle slow sales, what they may be doing pivoting in their business. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Someone wants to get started selling on Whatnot. What do you suggest the first things that they do before they go all in?
Before they go all in, it really just it come to me personally. It comes down to are you like an open book, open personality type person? Has there ever been a point in your life where you're like, I'm dull? That might I don't know. I watch people on there that are killing it. That literally I wouldn't say are like the most outgoing, but they also don't ever show themselves. They just have their camera positioned in the wall, and then they just all you see is like from their elbow to their hand,
Their arm,
and they just hang it up, and they're killing it.
Yeah.
Really, it just comes down to what you're selling. Because when we started, we were trying to sell brand new shoes from our wholesale liquidation, and we were taking L's, just L after L, because our buy cost is too high for what that platform was going for at the time. But now Whatnot is a marketplace. It's not just live selling. You can actually sync your items from eBay. You can sync all your items from Poshmark, from Mercari. It's just another platform like that you can cross list to. There's a huge market on there, and they have every category you can think of, kind of similar to all the other platforms. They even have a home and garden one where people are selling plants. They sell food.
I did not know that.
Homemade. It's weird. You can sell like homemade food, which buyer beware. I would guess. Like
Free
you don't
delivery.
know the sanitation, but
same day shipping.
Yeah. I just think if you have the inventory or you have the availability to get stuff at a very, very low price, or even at a price that you're able to move, because you don't have to start everything at $1. I know a lot of people think that everything has to start at $1. Like, we're all used to eBay auctions, 99-cent start. You can start it at your buy cost if you have to. But there's the potential that nobody wants to buy it at your buy cost.
Yeah. If you're a beginner reseller out there, you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed as to all of the information that is available to you online. And this is why it is so important to pick a system, pick a process, pick a vision and a goal that's going to work for you in your business. This has been a main passion of Marcus Dixon and I for quite some time, helping people kind of get going in their reselling business. This is why we started our reseller mentorship together, so we can help you guys get your business off the ground. So we did a little bit over $320,000 in sales on eBay last year, selling men's and women's clothing, and this year we're projected to do about $400,000 combined. And what we're aiming to do is to really help people, guide them along their path, helping them implement basically the same tips and strategies that we use in our business. So our goal is to really help you guys put a plan in place that's going to work for you. Maybe you just want to resell part-time. That's fine. We can help with that. I really do feel like we are better together when you're part of a community and like-minded individuals growing their stores at different paces. So you can check out link down below. Or you could just scan this QR code right here. And right now we have a 7-day free trial. You could just try it out, see if you like it. It's not for everyone. If you know how to use Discord, that's great. If you know how to use Zoom, that's great. We do offer 9 hours a week of weekly coaching, a morning call and an evening call. So I really do feel like, try it out. And it's not for everyone, that's fine, but the main goal here is to be able to at least try to learn something new, try to be involved in a community. You get a reseller spreadsheet, you get an eBay store review, you get a BOLO brand list, an item specifics guide, and if you do end up liking the community, it's just $1 a day after that. we'd love to see you there.
You got to have a little bit of a following, is that right? To get on Whatnot or to get approved. Is
To
that
get
kind of
approved,
a
not so much now because they've opened so many categories now,
mhm.
and they have the whole referral code kind of thing
Yeah,
where like we got on using Harry Tornado's referral code, which kind of put us at the
nice.
top of the list. They're like, oh well, I mean, if
Mhm.
Harry Tornadoes were vouching for them, then
Mhm.
they must have stuff.
Mhm.
Now we still had to go through the procedure. They wanted pictures of our inventory, so I just went to the warehouse, opened the door, and took a picture, and they're like, yeah, you got enough stuff. And then I
Nice.
just told them, like, yeah, I told
You
them, I
got
was like,
enough.
also, we get new inventory daily. If we need to, we can
Mhm.
get it daily. So they're really looking for those wholesale, like those high volume people. Now, of course, there's low sellers on there that just have like the grails for vintage or items like
Mhm.
that. But the people that I see really crushing it are doing the wholesale model.
Mhm. Mhm. So do you start you said something about starting your items at your buy cost, or since you're getting mainly all of your items from the bins, what are do you obviously you're going to start probably those higher price items at a higher price,
A
but
little bit.
do you just what's kind of an average price you start things off
So
on
most
your
of our
auctions?
stuff, like like graphic T-shirts, we'll start them at $2.
Mhm.
Vintage, depending on what it is, we'll start it at $4 or $5. Shoes usually start
Mhm.
at $5. Handbags, depending on the brand, we'll start them at like $8 to $10. Jackets, depending on size, depending on material, like leather jackets, we usually start about $10.
Mhm.
But then also like we try to create things that'll keep the chat engaged because you want to keep the
Mhm.
people there because they're the ones spending the money. And the other
Yeah.
point is you have to entertain, and entertaining by yourself is exhausting. So the way that we try to take that away is I created like a bingo game. So I created
Okay.
different things that always happen at a regular on a daily basis when you're at the Goodwill bins. You're always going to hear
Mhm.
a kid crying. You're always going to hear like one of the carts has a squeaky wheel, and so it's going.
That's
You're going to hear
mine. Give it to
you're,
me.
you're going to hear you're going to hear an employee say, "Get back behind the line" or something like that.
Yep.
So we
Yep.
created a bingo game where I have like a card that I put at every show, and then someone can just
Mm.
screenshot it, and then anytime something happens, the next item, no matter what it is, runs for $1. So it
Nice.
keeps people like there because sometimes the next item is the coach bag, or the next item is a pair of hunter
Mhm.
boots, or a
Mhm.
vintage T-shirt. What because it's all just
Mhm.
piled on a cart. I don't do it in
Mhm.
order. I just, hey, the next item is, oh, okay, it's this vintage T-shirt. So
Mhm.
whatever the next item is after that bingo happens, it runs for $1. So it keeps people engaged and watching because you could get $100 shirt for $1.
Yeah. No, that's good. So just a little bit about you post up at the bins. Do you just go into like a little secret corner, or like how does that all work? Because I'm sure people probably wonder what you're doing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I wish it was a secret corner. No,
Yeah.
we've just always gone to the same spot. And so, like, the
Yeah.
people that are regulars that know who we are, they just know, like, that's our corner.
Yeah.
You know, we just always go there. We make sure we're out of the way of the employees. We make sure that the
Mhm.
manager's happy, everybody's good. We're not
Mhm.
causing problems, and we just set up and go. The real good thing the thing that I'm the best at is I can just ignore everything around me and just
Yeah.
I literally just focus on myself. I look at
Mhm.
myself on the camera, and I just
Mhm.
everything that's going on. I miss the bingos. The chat tells me like, "Hey, bingo, did you hear that?" And I'm like, "I didn't, but if you said happened."
Yeah.
I focus on that. And of
Mhm.
course, there'll be people that'll like walk up, and I've had someone pick up my battery pack that I carry to keep my phone battery charged. They like looking at
Right.
it like while I'm streaming. And so like I'm having to like off camera look at them like, what are you doing? I'm
What are you
live right
doing?
now.
Yeah. 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 Interesting.
People
Okay.
trying to look in my
Yeah.
cart.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely seen that before. So what's a typical show as far as like how much do you think you can, average sale per show? Like
um
100 items, 500 items, what
yeah,
does
so
that look like?
our most that we've sold in a stream is 168 items. Now,
Nice.
it was actually more than that because at the end of the stream, we do what we call a leftover lot. So
Mhm.
everything we've run, we think is worth reselling.
Mhm.
Maybe nobody just wanted it at that time, or maybe we started it at a price that somebody wasn't willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Um, So we just set it to the side. We don't throw it back in the bin. We set it to the side. And then at the end, we have like, 15, 20 items that we ran that nobody was interested in. And we just run it as a leftover lot, like a reseller lot. And we start at like $10. And then whoever gets it, gets it. So we sell out everything. So that counts as one item, but really it could be 20 items. But our most that we've sold is 168 in one day. I think our gross profit on that was 1786 in 3 hours. And then of course, after the Whatnot fees, which they have the lowest of any platform, 11%.
Nice. Oh yeah.
I think we were at like, I want to say 1482. And then we have to check out and pay for the stuff. Yeah. And I think our total that day was right around $400. So we made about $1,000 in pocket after fees, after buy costs. Yeah. 0% upfront because we have instant payouts. So we use the people's money, not our money.
Yep. $300, $400 an hour. Not too bad.
Yeah. Not too bad. Better than I ever made having a job.
Yeah. And for doing stuff that you actually, like to do,
yeah.
It's not like you're chipping concrete in 100-degree weather. It's you're doing stuff that you're passionate about.
For sure.
Where do you think Whatnot is as far as like in the process? Do you feel like it's getting a little saturated, or do you think there's a lot more room to grow?
Oh, I think there's so much room to grow. They're adding new categories all the time. Like I said, they just added the marketplace aspect to it. I think what they do very well is they're bringing something to the resale arena that no other platform is doing or has. I mean, they have the capabilities because I know eBay's now starting to dabble with it. I know Poshmark's now trying to do live auctions, but on Whatnot, you can be rated, which is something you can't do on any other platform. So if for people that don't know what that means, that aren't familiar with Whatnot, let's say I'm streaming right now and you're streaming right now and you're selling your stuff. I'm selling my stuff. You have 500 people in your stream and I only have 50 people in mine. You're about done. You're running your last item. And you say, all right, guys, we're going to go raid my friend Flip the World. You just press the raid button, type in my name, and you send all 500 of your people to my stream instantly. So now I have 550 people, potential buyers like that.
Wow.
And I just start showing them. You can't do that anywhere else. It's like paid promotion with you don't pay anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of innovation going on with Whatnot. I haven't, checked out the platform too much, but a thing that I was listening to a podcast the other day, it says with all this AI stuff happening and all these businesses moving into it, they basically just said, if you're not first, you're last.
Oh, for
sure. So basically Whatnot is doing first. They're doing things that really you don't really see on eBay or,
for sure.
As big as eBay is and as much money as they have, there's still a lot more brand awareness with Whatnot, and people are starting to get more familiar with it. So,
yes, and that's scary to like put all your eggs into a platform that is literally leading the charge on what they're doing. eBay is a sturdy. How it works. You know what to expect. But we as of January 1st, we're going to go 100% Whatnot, and let's see what happens. And so it's terrifying because they could totally screw up and something happen and it ruin everything for us. But, we know what we could do in the back. We know what our plan B is what we've been doing before that for years, which is eBay.
Yeah.
I can get right back. I can get right back to 30 a day if I have to.
Yeah. I think the model in general of the live auctions, I think they'll just keep popping up, kind of like back in the internet days where there was Alta Vista and Ask Jeeves and they kind of all came.
Yeah, there already is a runner-up platform. Whoa. I just lost my screen, maybe. Can you still see me?
Still there.
Okay, good. We just lost they just came up with a new one called Jumble. It's basically it's the same thing. It's just called Jumble, something like that. I don't know. I saw people say I didn't get approved for Whatnot, so I'm on Jamble or Jumble.
Okay. Yeah. Go with it. Miss Lachey says, just stopping by to say hello. Well, I appreciate you. Hope you're having a good day. Vanessa says, how often do you do lives?
Typically 3 days a week. 3 days a week live from the bins, and on Sundays we call it a bins from home show. where we sell items that we sourced from the bins that we wanted to do at home, so we could maybe touch them up, do a little. We'll wash everything. Maybe they had like it's a really cool vintage shirt, but it needs to be OxyCleaned to get more money out of it. Stuff like that. So we'll do that on a Sunday show. But that's a real laid back, like short show. It's not the long, drawn out like the bin show. So 3 days a week, 4 at tops.
And Elite Supply Bunker says, best place that you know to source jeans in bulk.
I mean, it really just depends on what price you're trying to pay. I mean, I just buy salvage now, and so I haven't been to the bins in 2 months. But that's where I used to buy all my denim from was from the bins, and that's primarily because of the way I do things. I don't necessarily think that's the best idea for most people, and that's if you're going to focus on that, at least, because I don't know if this is the same thing around the nation, but at our Goodwill here, they pick in the back pretty hard. So anything that is in good condition, or at least sellable right now condition, is pretty limited. And if it is, it's usually a pretty rough brand. So anything that has blemishes, though, they'll still send that out. And but that's where I made a huge focus in my business, is to I guess I would consider myself more of a makeup artist for denim. I don't fix anything. I actually probably destroy it more than I fix it, but I alter the appearance to make it a sellable unit. And that's trying to do that in mass was very, very difficult. And that was that financial sacrifice that I was talking about earlier, that I made in 2022, because there is absolutely no money in doing that until you figure out how to do it quickly, because you just get murdered in time. So, but if you are trying to just source out denim in general that is sellable right now, I mean, your best place is going to be racks. The thing is about it is, I mean, I'm sorry, when I say racks, I mean like Savers,
the retail. Yeah.
Right. That's going to be your best, probably end result is going to be the best. You're not going to be buying things necessarily that you can't sell. And if you go to the bins and you're just getting things in bulk, and then you run it through the washer and send it, you are going to be spending a significant amount of time on items that will not sell. So you're going to be sitting there with a truck bed full of jeans, taking it down to the Goodwill that you had for 2 years that won't sell. So my suggestion would be, if and you need to go, you should start at racks, and just don't go over a size 34. If you stay inside 34, you can make money, at least here, the way they price things here at the racks. You could make money on almost every single pair under a 34. It's just whether it's $2, $10, whatever it may be. I just don't like to pay $8 to sell something for 16 and make $3-4, but you really could probably just go buy everything 34 and under and make money.
Yeah. I mean, that all makes sense. Makes perfect sense. So the Shinya Daily, hopefully I said that right, probably not, but she's just kind of referring to like what you just touched on. You buy salvage, but you were just doing the bins,
right? It was mostly to the reason I wanted to do that collectively wasn't necessarily so I could hit more home runs on stuff that they missed. It was that I could essentially get all of my sourcing done in one day for the whole week. And I go pick it up on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays you spend sorting it. I don't only sell jeans, but because in this kind of a scenario, I'd be throwing away too much value in certain jackets and tops and stuff like that. I don't specifically focus on that stuff. That's more my offload. Like I get it
Right.
and it's gone. I don't price it to ink every dollar.
Mhm.
But I get a lot of denim that is because they don't hang it. These
No.
thrift stores, they don't hang stuff that has a stain. For the
Mhm.
most part. I mean, if
Yeah.
it has any defects, they throw it away. So
Yeah.
I absorb those, and I tried to create my
Me too.
business
Me
model in
too.
order to accommodate that, right? Like
Yeah.
it's, I just need to know how to make it sellable in a
Mhm.
very short period of time, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident I can make. I'd say 95% of jeans, outside of like a crotch hole or a tear
Right.
downing. Um,
Mhm.
those ones you can't really fix them without spending significant time. But
Yeah.
as far as stains are concerned and stuff like that, I don't usually exceed a minute. But I can
Mhm.
almost make anything sellable in a minute.
Nice.
Which is that was the number one thing I wanted to do in 2022.
Mhm.
And so occasionally you go off and do a little extra, but for the most
Right.
part, it's sub 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds for the most part. But
Yeah.
it's just tricks. You gotta learn tricks.
There's a cutoff point to where you're like, I'm
Yeah, I
spending a
mean,
little more time than I need to.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, and figuring out what you need to do
Mhm.
to accommodate your resale value versus so if, just for example, there's a stain in the knee and
Mhm.
there's no tears, there's no distress, there's nothing. There's a
Yeah.
stain in the knee though, and you can't get that stain out. Okay, you can eventually get that stain out. It's going to take you a lot of time though because it's
Yeah.
you're going to be washing and doing whatever you do to. I'm not going to say what I do, um, but the processes in which you do it
Yeah.
to get rid of a stain, you can do it.
Mhm.
It might take you an hour's worth of time though to get it out.
Mhm.
Whereas I would just now I can understand that okay, well if I get the stain out, it's worth $2 more than if
Mhm.
I distress it out. So
Mhm.
I have a distressing, and I'll just distress it out. It has the same sell through, stain's gone, and I lose out on $2, but I saved an hour of time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of stuff like that.
That's real good. I mean,
Mhm.
this is good. So getting back into it. So if you have a pair of vintage Levi's, what are some good keywords that you're going to be using? I mean, you can just broadly touch on it. You don't have to give away
Yeah,
your
yeah.
secrets, but like, what are some generic kind of keywords to help those buyers find that product?
A cut is really important as far as getting it moved quickly. Eventually,
Mm-hmm.
somebody will find it, right? You always
Mm-hmm.
incorporate your model code. A
Mm,
lot of times
okay.
you don't know what that is because they might have the back patch ripped off or it's an orange tab. A lot of orange tabs. I don't know what it is about orange tabs, but and I don't even know if this is what they did, but they won't have a back patch on so many. And I don't know
Okay.
why it's always on orange tabs, but
Mm-hmm.
it always is. Seems like.
Hmm.
And whether the previous owner ripped off the patch
Mm-hmm.
or not, there a lot of the times there won't be a model code on the back or on the back patch, so you'll have to look on the inside at a
Mm-hmm.
tag. If you don't know how to read the tag, then you have to go off a cut, what they look like. So you need to know what like a boot cut, a flare, a baggy fit, relaxed fit, tapered.
Yeah.
If you know what those
Yeah.
are, you need to incorporate that into your title.
For
Um,
sure.
and when it's talking about jeans though, and so I would even if the pair of jeans is tapered, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't recommend putting that into any kind of a keyword or using that as a
Mm-hmm.
keyword.
Hmm.
I've had very, very, very minimal success using tapered in any
Tapered.
title.
Yeah.
So I would just stay away from that. So like
Mm-hmm.
550s are in vintage. Levi's
Okay.
550s are relaxed tapered. It'll say
Okay.
that on the tag a lot of time. You don't have to say tapered, just say relaxed.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, if it's a baggy fit, make sure that you're using baggy. Anything in the
Mm-hmm.
560s is going to be a baggy fit.
Baggy.
Um,
Yeah. Good
and
keyword.
then like 517s are your boot cuts.
Mm-hmm.
505, 501s, 502s are your straights. So
Mm-hmm.
it's you don't have to say straight in the title. In fact, if it is straight, just don't leave. I don't even put it in there because
Hmm.
the person who's buying a pair of straight jeans,
They
uh,
know it already.
Well, yeah, and they're not necessarily searching for straight jeans because most jeans are straight. The
Right.
ones that veer off of being a regular fit straight leg, those are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that you need to incorporate into the keywords, like relaxed or baggy, slim,
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
boot cut, whatever it may be. Something that veers away from the predominant, which is a regular fit straight. So you don't
Right.
have to put those things in your title. Fill those,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if it is faded, if
Mm-hmm.
most denim, after it's been through the wash 10, 15 times, um,
Mm-hmm.
it starts to bring on different character, fades,
Mm-hmm.
whiskers.
Yeah.
If it does, then you want to make sure that you put faded in the title.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
it's a medium, if the denim is a medium, don't put medium. It's
Medium
unnecessary.
wash.
Yep, medium wash is
Yeah.
no good. Light wash fine,
Yep.
dark wash fine, or dark fine.
Mm-hmm. That's good to
Um,
know.
but medium is nobody searches it.
Yeah.
I mean, not enough people to justify it, right? So
Right.
um, you incorporate. You want to use as many character
Yeah.
pieces as you can,
Mm-hmm.
because if you have 80 characters and you got to
The
fill it
full
out,
80. Yeah. Yes.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the stuff you're dealing with is going to be modern. So,
Yeah.
vintage and made in USA make it pretty easy to fill that title out, as far as getting keywords and such in there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't have that, you have to use some creativity and really just start diving into character things. So
For sure.
that'll help you move a lot of
That's some
stuff.
good stuff. Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So looking towards the future, where do you see your business like in the next 1 to 2 years? Do you see yourself like scaling it up big time, maybe hiring an employee or two? What do you see happening?
So at some point um, I will be hiring an employee.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my ultimate goal is really to I I want to do is it's not because I just want to say that I did it all by myself. I want to know how to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
Um, and my goal is to gross uh, $1 million in just jeans
Mm-hmm.
by myself. And then,
Mm-hmm.
if I get to the point where I'm at least pacing it, I might entertain the idea of bringing in somebody. That would be. I usually my average sale price, all in gross,
Yeah.
on jeans fluctuates between 37 and $39 a pair
Nice.
usually. So
Uh-huh.
um, that basically would mean that I have to sell what is that, 30,000 pairs of jeans in a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that's I mean 30,000 pairs of jeans, you figure
Yeah.
what is that a day?
Yeah.
I mean it's a lot. You have a lot,
Yeah. It's a good
and
bit.
yeah, I mean and you're typically capped. I feel like I at least have a process that is going to be as fast as anybody could do jeans, at
Mm-hmm.
least to the standard that I do them at.
Yeah.
Um, and I can do about 40 of them in an hour. So
Mm-hmm.
if and that's just picturing, that's not
Yeah.
including anything else, the prep
40
work that goes
sets.
into it. Um,
Right.
it's and so in order to sell 30,000 pairs of jeans in a year would be very, very difficult. But I
Mm-hmm.
want to learn how to do it for myself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that this year, uh, like I said, last year, my first year going into it,
Yeah.
did 90,000 in men's jeans.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, I think I'm going to do 500. Just
Nice.
because, yeah, but that is just
That's
100%
great.
primarily
Yeah.
because I know what to do with them now. And,
Yes.
and I get to apply, there's no more experiments, and I get to apply everything that I learned. Um, and just target I mean, essentially just allow everything to run its course, and thus far, um, it appears at least as though it's going to be close to 500. So
That's
we'll see.
awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's so cool. Just like a little side note from just talking to you and you explaining kind of the background. it just sounds like you found what you really liked, and then you had like this obsession of like learning as much as you can to really
Yeah.
have that competitive edge against everyone else.
Well, that's
In
and to
in
be
like
fair, like that's I had so many people when I first started this. I mean, all my peers, that's the thing is I've always been a hyper competitive person, and you get,
Mhm.
20, 30 people telling you that ain't gonna work, and you don't do that's unnecessary. And I'm
Yeah,
like, dude, all right, man, now I have to do this,
they're
so
kind of
I can
like
put it in your
pushing
face,
you.
man.
Yeah.
So
Tilting Frog says for investor information, even though this is never financial advice, but just getting your kind of background and what you think. Where's like a good resource? If you're not an investor, where is a good resource to find that type of information, trends and things like that? What do you use?
Yeah, so being invested is nice because I just get an email sent to me. Honestly, they send me an email like every 10 to 15 days, and then the huge investor conferences every quarter when public companies have to disclose their earnings because they're public. The cool thing about them being public is you don't have to be invested for that information. You can just go to seekingalpha.com, Bloomberg Finance, just things like that. All of their reports, every single word of their conferences are typed out and put on seekingalpha.com, so you can have access to that. But to get these emails that I'm talking about, you don't even have to own one whole stock of eBay, which right now is around $40 to $45. You can literally invest 16 cents into eBay and get all of that information sent to your email.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, it's hard to I'm all about investing, stock market and whatnot, but when you see the return on investment in some of your items that you resell, you go, man,
Exactly.
very very rarely when I'm buying my items for $1, very rarely do I take a loss on that.
Mm-hmm.
So but I think you should be well diverse in whatever you put your money into, and it's awesome to get into investing. I think that, the thought of letting your money work for you while you sleep is a really, really nice feeling. So kind of getting back into it, what are the key factors do you think that determine success of a reselling business?
The
And
key
specifically on eBay, I
factor.
guess, since
Okay.
that you sell on. Mm-hmm.
So there's a ton of different things. That's obviously why I started a YouTube channel, to disclose all this information. But honestly, I think people. So I'm personally a numbers guy. I love information. I love numbers. I love all this stuff. I love understanding the algorithm and things like that. But I think too many people focus too much of their time and attention on the algorithm instead of their customers. So I think, oh, if I don't do this, will that irritate the algorithm? When you should just replace algorithm with customer.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't know if eBay's algorithm is going to like how I listed this. And it's like, no, you need to ask yourself, will my customers actually search for this? Will my customers like this shipping policy? Will my customers like this return policy? Will my customers like this item that I priced 400% over market value and then put on sale for 50%? That just, this doesn't work. You just have to think from a human psychology perspective instead of a technical algorithmic perspective. This is what I talk about probably the most on my lives, because people think that they're like shadow banned on eBay, when really it's just your item is $1.89 too expensive and your customers can't see it because they usually just put lowest price plus shipping, and then you're buried on page 19 instead of page 2 or 1.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
algorithm.
would say
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be successful in reselling, understand human psychology more than algorithmic movement.
Algorithm is customers' habits. The algorithm is taking customers' habits. That's what an algorithm is. It's not a, it's not this god or deity. It's literally just trained on information. So if when we say algorithm, that's YouTube algorithm, Twitter algorithm. All of these algorithms are just trained on how human psychology, how we do things. So yeah, you 100% is people when you can relate algorithm to just your customers and the end buyer, then it all starts to come together, you know. So like piggyback off of that, what is like the importance of an effective product listing for optimization, and how impactful is that for your sales and profitability? So like how are you optimizing your listings so they do end up in buyers' faces?
Yep. So this is something that you've talked about on your channel a lot, and there's a lot of free information across YouTube and Google and eBay. They I forgot what the program is called, but every 3 months or 6 months, eBay releases like 2 to 15 videos about how to help people sell online on eBay. And I always put this: if you're selling electronics, this is the title structure you should follow as a foundation. If you're selling clothing, this is a title structure you should follow as a foundation. And so I think the foundation of a listing is the title. You got to make sure that the title is set up piggybacking off of human psychology, the way your customer would type it. So a lot of people ask me, because I sell a lot of electronics, they're like, where do you put the model number? And I typically put that at the end or towards the end, because some people, their remote will break and then they'll look up the exact model number and then they'll type it in. And mine will be in the title, so I'll catch them anyway. But most people just type into eBay Sony DVD player. They don't type in Sony SLV-NX57. They just type in Sony DVD player. And so I start my listings, brand, what the item actually is, and then all the specifics after that. So that's the foundation. And then I'd say the first floor of a listing, you got to have good photos. And then the second floor, still important, item specifics. And then probably, I would say the elevator in that building that is super important are your policies. So you got to get them from the foundation all the way up to the first and second floor via policies of shipping, return policies, and then obviously, and then I think probably one of the most important things on eBay specifically is pricing. It's not the most important, but it's one of them, because when you type in an item, 17 of them pop up. And if you can get one for $13 less, you're probably just going to buy that one.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you handle your pricing strategies so you can remain competitive? Now that you've been selling for a while on eBay, how are you? Are you checking comps, making sure you price middle of the market, or how are you determining your prices?
Yeah, here comes the controversy. This is what I love talking about. So
that's good.
In these quarterly reports that eBay talks about, they talk about what they call a premium customer. So their goal right now, a lot of companies' goal is how can we get as many customers as possible? eBay has now shifted from that to how can we get higher paying customers? We're willing to lose 40 customers that spend $40 a year to get one that will spend over $5,000 with us this year. And so they talk a lot about their premium customers, and those are the people that I advertise to. The biggest premium customer on eBay right now, there's two of them. There are millennial men, such as myself. Millennial men will buy a Travis Matthews shirt for $29, even when other ones are listed for $14, because they just click on the first thing that pops up. And then there's middle-aged women that are in upper to extreme income classes. They just type something in, and the first thing that comes up, they click on. So I actually price things depending on the item. So electronics, I price lower because people are typically just looking for a replacement, and so they want to buy that replacement. But if it's vintage, then I'll price it higher. But when it comes to clothing, I actually price things higher than most people would, because I have so many items that have a 2-week sell through that I'm willing to wait 160 days to sell clothing for $6 more, because I'm waiting for that guy that buys the Tommy Bahama shirt for $29, even though the exact same shirt is there for $13, because he doesn't care. He makes $80,000 a month and he just wants to go sit on a yacht in his custom Tommy Bahama shirt. So like people always tell me all the time, a lot of the brands that I sell, Travis Matthew, Tommy Bahama, there's this Western one called Cinch. I've gotten a ton of messages from rodeo all-stars that like, hey, I'm participating in the world tour rodeo here in Las Vegas. This cinch shirt is awesome, and they buy it for $70, even though it's only worth $24. So, so I kind of price higher on clothing, and then everything else in my store I just list at market, so that way I can have that extremely fast sell-through coupled with the longer shelf items. If that made sense. That was a lot of information right there.
For sure. No, that's great. Just briefly, you're offering returns on all your items, or
everything, yeah. Even items that are 4 parts and not working, I still offer returns.
Cool. Can you share some valuable tips for negotiating deals, like while you're out sourcing and searching for inventory? That you can kind of take advantage of. You had a video that went really well with this, or maybe it was a live, but just discuss like how do you negotiate with potential buys, and what do you do there?
Yeah, so I have a video called, I think it's like 5 psychological tips to get more product at yard sales or something like that. And then I have a couple shorts on it as well. Pretty much just being a energetic, charismatic person that actually cares about people is really the hack. A lot of people say your network is your net worth, or they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. I'd say that's pretty accurate. You can do everything on your own, but it's more exponential when you know other people. So for example, today I just barely bought $500 worth of Ray-Bans and Oakleys and things of that nature for $60 because I've been buying things off of Facebook, and this guy that I've done like 3 deals with in the past, he's just like, here, these are all scratched. I don't want to list them on eBay because I don't know how really to. And that's one of my specialties is listing broken and scratched sunglasses. So I was able to pick up $500 for $60. And then tonight I'm heading over to a guy that does storage units. He doesn't want to sell controllers and iPods and remotes. So he has a big box waiting for me at 6 p.m. to go pick up tonight. So it's all, I'd watch that video that I posted about the 5 psychological tips. And then honestly, I would just try to wake up and be in the best attitude possible, and then just go talk to people, let them know what you do, ask them, try to provide more value to them than they can to you. And you always end up getting more value from them.
Yeah. It's the principle, of giving and receiving, but you don't give to receive. You just give off faith, right? And, we're not negotiating to like be, sleek or like mischievous. We're negotiating because first of all, we want the best price, but also too, we want to provide value to everyone. So when you do that, you actually, they might end up giving it to you for free. So that's the crazy part. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing right there. So now just taking a look at your operation, you sell a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
How are you managing your inventory, and how are you making sure you fulfill each order and making sure it goes to the right place, and how are you storing all of those items?
Yeah. So I humbly say this, I live an awesome life. eBay is awesome. So I source anywhere from 70 to 150 items a week off of eBay. So I'll be making videos about this in the future, but there's a few strategies that I utilize that I'm able to get people. I'm able to buy like 10 shirts for $2 plus $2 shipping when I combine them all together. So I'm able to buy a ton of inventory off of eBay. And then I just go to 5 or 6 thrift stores almost daily, and I'm able to get a bunch of my inventory. I've been doing this for a while. I know brands and things of that nature, so I just know what is worth picking up. And then the strategy that I utilize, a lot of people will say like, oh, you shouldn't be looking things up in store. You should be looking them up at home or whatever. But I do both. Like I'm just always trying to learn. So I'll go into a thrift store, and my thrift store is crazy in the morning. And I'll try to get as many things as I can that I think are worth flipping. And then I'll just look them up right at the end before I check out. So I usually put like 20 things in my cart, and then I'll leave with 16 or 17 of them. I put them in this processing bucket right here to my right. My employee comes in and she cleans everything for me. She cuts tags off of shirts. Then she puts them into my to be listed bucket. And then she lists all the clothing items. I have just a little sheet that she just manually types in every single word, and then I set the price for them and hit launch. And then everything that's non-clothing, I list myself. She does 14 listings a day. I do 25, and then I have an inventory system in the garage. I have a SKU system. Let's see if I can bear with me here. So this is my SKU system for my vacuum parts, calculator, ski goggles, sports covers, handheld,
Nice.
music, headphones, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, so my eBay day right now looks like 3 to 4 hours a day, selling about 25 items a day. But it was 12 hours a day every single day for a year to get to where I am now.
Yeah. I think a lot of new resellers start out a little bit discouraged because they're like, "Oh man, I'm listing 5 a day, but it takes me all day." And I was there too, so it just takes time. Can you so can you share some of those common mistakes that you think new resellers on eBay are making, and like how can they avoid them?
Yeah, one thing that I did early on is I didn't understand. So like I would go out and I would find a pan and I would look it up and I saw, oh, this sold for $40 and it's only $3 here. Sweet. But then I didn't realize that it was $40 free shipping. So in all reality, it sold for $16 plus $14 shipping. Honestly, pans are long and heavy. So honestly, it sold for $9 plus $21 shipping. So I made like 40 cents. So make sure you understand what things are actually selling for. Another thing is just don't blindly listen to YouTubers. A lot of them have good hearts. Their hearts are in the right place. They just want to help people. They also want to make money. So some guys and gals will give terrible advice. So don't just blindly buy what other YouTubers are buying. Make sure you actually look things up. This happens to me all the time. People are like, "You told me to buy curling irons and they aren't selling." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't tell you to pick up Conair or Helen of Troy. That's for sure." I told you.
Yeah,
Told
Walmart
you.
brand.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like talk about brand all the time. So yeah, be aware of what things actually sell for was my first mistake, and then really learn how to ship things. A lot of people ask me how to ship things because it's a tough process when you're only selling 1 or 2 a week. You don't really know how to ship very well. But I've gotten to a system where I've sold, I think, 2,200 pairs of sunglasses and eyeglass frames, and I've only had 2 break. So that's 0.001%. So if you're gonna sell things that break, I wouldn't ship it unless you can literally throw it. So I have friends that work for FedEx and UPS. Don't put, you can if you want to, but people put fragile stickers on their packages. And my friends say they literally play this game called Fragile, where every time they find a package that says fragile, they yell Fragile, and then they kick it off of the truck instead of placing it. So like your things are going to get thrashed. So ship and package accordingly.
What did you see there, as far as like, was that kind of coinciding with slower sales? Are there any recent policy or algorithm changes on eBay that have significantly impacted you business wise?
Not really that I would say have like directly impacted me. I don't think there's anything that, every quarter they put out some type of update or some type of adjustments and things on the app or the platform in general, and it messes things up. But as a whole, thank the Lord, I have not been affected directly by anything that they've done as of yet. But at the end of the day, like even if it was to affect me, there's nothing I can do except for continue to do what I know to do, and that's list items consistently, accept offers. Like at the end of the day, like, do I want to accept most of the offers I get? Not really. Do I have to accept those offers? I kind of do. I got bills that don't care if eBay's messing up.
Right.
I've got a stomach that doesn't care if eBay's messing up. I need to feed myself. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, man, I've got goals. I've got visions and a purpose behind all this. So, at the end of the day, I have to make sales. And if I have to make more sales for less money to meet the same amount of margin, then I will. There's people out there on Whatnot selling 6,000 items a month to make what I make off of 1,000 items. If you got to sell
Exactly.
more volume, you just got to do it. You know, it's just the way you got to go.
Yeah. There's so many ways to run a reselling business.
Hmm.
There's almost endless.
Yeah,
And what you show on your channel, what I show on my channel, there's similar business models.
yeah,
It's just a way to make
right.
money. It's a
There's just
way
so
to,
many.
not everyone has to do that.
Yeah,
People like
exactly.
buying items, and they want to make $1,000 profit. That's their standard.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
might be hard.
absolutely.
For me in my business, I know it's always been, I want to be able to find the items as easily as possible,
Hmm.
which is why clothing works so well. It's because it's in
Right.
abundance.
Yeah,
But now it's just figuring out, well, maybe I need to pick up a few more sourcing trips to be able to find the good
yeah.
stuff.
And so
I
we talked yesterday in our Patreon call in the morning, and you
mm,
said that you would possibly have to make a binge trip yesterday to go grab 400 items real quick.
yep.
And that's what I list in a week. I list 400 items. And so like if I can go grab that in 1 week or in one trip, that's great. Sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes I'm only getting 250 in a trip, so I have
Hmm.
to go back on another day of the week. It's
Hmm.
frustrating, but it's what I have to do. It's what I signed up to do.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, I might not want to do it. And today I don't have to. Today I would normally be trying to take a bench trip today. Thank the Lord I don't have to because I bought out 400 something items
Right.
from a local guy near me. So I haven't had to go to the bins at all this week. But
Mm,
that's not the norm. So right now I'm
mhm.
taking the blessing as it is, and I'm just loading up a bunch of listings on eBay.
Yep.
Next week I'll be right back there on Monday as I always do.
Hmm.
So
And by you implementing that extra trip that you take to go out sourcing, where
mhm.
you may need to do 400 in one trip, now you can do 200 in two trips, but
Yep,
the items are better.
yep,
That's
exactly.
how I see it.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And
Versus,
that's really what I've been focusing on is picking up as much quality items as I can in
mhm,
the trip where I get less items
yeah.
instead of grabbing 400 mediocre items. I just been
Mhm,
going, and that's really the difference. Could I get 400 items in one trip? Absolutely, but it's going to be like Alfred Dunner, Roz and Ali, Croft and Barrow. Like while these brands do sell, is it what I want to put into my store? It's not really what I want to put in my store. I want to put Levi's, Carhartt, North Face, things like that I know have a good sell through at a great price versus things that are going to sell slower with lower margin. So
yep.
I can fill my store with a bunch of random crap, man, and not necessarily crap isn't stuff that just won't sell, but things that are going to
Well,
be slower sell through and probably $8 profit off of each item, but at the end of the day, that's not what I'm trying to build a business off of. Sometimes is
mhm,
what I just have to settle for.
mhm. Yep. That's good. Adriel Ortiz says, personally, it's frustrating sometimes following everything to a T and not making sales desired, even with quality items.
So the
Yeah.
question would be, what is your, and I don't want this to offend you, my friend, what is your definition of a quality item? Because sometimes we think that our items are quality and they're not. Sometimes we think that our listings are quality and it's overpriced. So at the end of the day, we can do the best that we can with the knowledge that we have. But if we're great as humans at thinking that we're better than we are, and I'm not saying this directed towards you, I'm speaking
Mhm.
from experience for myself. I go out and I source an item and I'm like, because I spent my time, my hard-earned money on this
Yeah.
item. I
Yeah.
deserve $20 for an item that's only
Yep.
going to sell for 10.
Yeah.
So how often do we get caught up in that chain of effects? And
Yeah.
then what are we doing? We're sitting on an item for 6 months longer than we need to because we think it's the cream of the crop and it's not.
I, I had the same mindset for like the first year and a half. Like,
Yeah,
I sourced this. I
yeah,
worked hard for this.
yeah,
I'm going to charge a little bit more because I
yeah.
did the work. I earned this.
Right,
And that's anti-kingdom thinking.
right,
You're a
right.
believer, I'm a believer.
Yeah,
That's anti-kingdom.
yep.
Where I shifted the mindset from there to go, let's just give it away. I don't
Hmm.
even care anymore because I
Yeah.
want to bless this person. I just sold an Orvis 100% silk, made in USA,
Hmm.
vintage, beautiful blazer. Goes for
Yeah,
$50, $60. Someone sent me a $20 offer. I go, I don't even care. I
yeah,
got it for $1.
yep,
Give it to them.
yep,
Give it because
yep.
we're alive today.
Yeah,
And you're right. I got to eat today. I got
yeah,
bills to pay today. I
right.
don't care if I make an extra $20 in 8
Yeah,
months from now.
Yeah.
might be dead.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
money, I need it to provide the provision for the vision.
Yeah.
God will provide the provision for your vision. And if we're
Right.
being greedy and going, oh, I'm going to get the top of the market, yeah,
Yeah.
it may sit for years in your store.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm all about how can we duplicate money quickly, and I'm
Right.
trying to get better at that as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
why I'm praising the women's tops so much. You guys
Yeah.
probably think I'm crazy, but the sell-through
My
rate is
women's
good.
tops is up 18% thanks to Bo.
That's what
Thanks
you
for
were
the
saying.
knowledge you share. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's great. I want to share everything. You share everything.
Yeah.
We're in it more to help you guys, help
Yeah.
you along your path. We're not here. Selling on eBay is really good, really life changing, but I get more enjoyment when I hear the success stories of the Patreons
Yeah.
and of the people of the channel. That is what I love.
Yeah.
So, Jamie's in the house. What's going on, Jamie? Appreciate you. Adriel says, you're right. I think it goes back to the comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
I noticed some stores with bad titles and low quality items selling for double of mine.
Yeah. The thing though is, brother, is how long have they sat on those items to get that price? Right? Some people can make $100 on an item, right? But they don't tell you they sat on it for 2 years to get that price. So yeah, you can duplicate those results. You got to do what they're doing to do it. Just
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, you can duplicate my results, but you have to do everything the same way that I'm doing it to sell the same amount of items that I'm selling. I sold 44 items yesterday. Uh, some of those items sold for $9. Some of those items sold for 4. Right. So when you hear 44 items, but it's only $1,000 gross. So do you want to sell 44 items for $1,000? Because you can do that. Or do you want to sell 44 items for 2,500? Because you can also do that. It's going to take you twice as long though.
Yeah. For example, yesterday, 660 in sales, I sold 16 items.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those items were more higher average sale price items. So
Yeah.
it's what business model do you want, and
Right.
write it down and focus on that,
Yeah.
because there's a guy in our Patreon that sells like a third of what we sell in a week,
It's killing it.
and his sales are
Yeah.
right on track to where we're at. So
Yeah.
but he also does really well at sourcing.
Yeah, he does.
He is a good sourcer. So Nathan says, signed up to the group yesterday. Loads of good content to catch up on. Do you have anyone else from the UK in the group?
Yeah. Claire's from the UK in the group.
Yep.
Reach out to her.
Yeah, Claire's in the group. She's I think they're 11 hours ahead of us, and she is dedicated. She actually just left this testimony. She's making changes. She's up year over year, month over month, and this is what we love to see: is the success of the people that are actually wanting help. There's a lot of people out there that think that they're doing it right. They don't want help. We want to help the people that want to be helped. You can't change form cement. It's impossible. So people who want to take advantage of this market growing exponentially in the next few years, they're going to say, I need help. I needed help. I think everyone needs a coach, whether it's in business, relationships, the fitness. A coach is just helping you get there faster.
Yeah.
Avoiding mistakes like what we made when we were early. So yeah,
I think it's also getting a coach is like more of a professional mindset, right? Bodybuilders that look phenomenal, and are huge, they get coaches when it's time to go onto a professional show because they need that. Like, they might be knowledgeable, they know how to work out, but they need someone from an outside point of view seeing what they're doing, because you look at your business with blinders. So a coach is going to look at your business with an unbiased opinion, because you're paying them to give you the raw and uncut. So they're going to tell you what's wrong with your business, what you're doing that's affecting your business in a negative way. What things you need to implement, what changes you need to make, what diet things you need to change to get your muscles to show the right way. And that's the same thing we're doing with this Patreon. And so anybody that's trying to make a professional income, doctors go to school for 8 years to make $100,000. You know, you can hire us to help you make $100,000. You're going to pay a lot less than you will for university, that's for sure. But
Gee.
it's the same. It's the same principle, though. When you're trying to do something on a professional level, you get coaching, you get help. I did it for YouTube. I did it with eBay. Uh, it's just, I think it's bar none. It's a requirement for someone, and it's not a requirement, but I feel if you really want to get further faster, I definitely think that you should be trying to hire someone that can help you get there. You can bounce questions off of, ask, there's 50 of us in this Patreon. There's somebody that's going to be able to help you with something that we've all ran into before you have, I can't tell you how many times I've called eBay and sat on the phone with eBay. And you don't have to do that. You can ask me. Trust me, you got the issue. I've called eBay over.
So I just want to jump right into it. What is your kind of theory as to why eBay might be going through a different season in some of the problems you may be experiencing?
Okay. I've got a few things here. So I think that, first of all, the first thing I want to say, and feel free to cut me off wherever, and welcome to all the viewers. But here we go. I don't think everything is eBay's fault. So there are some macro things going on in the economy right now that eBay can't control. One of them is higher interest rates. This is happening, and it's hurting our consumer because they're spending more on their debt, and they don't have as much expendable income. So there's that. On top of that, you have higher inflation. So our consumers, everything our consumer spends their money on is getting more expensive, including staples. So their groceries are more, their gas is more, electricity, everything is more expensive. So we have to see those macro events and see that, yes, our consumer is hurting right now. And there's nothing eBay can do about that. That's a trend that I think every single platform is experiencing. So let me put that out there. There's another thing that is not eBay's fault, and that we are in summer slowdown. It is a bit slower this summer, but that happens every single year. If you talk to some of the bigger eBayers, and I don't consider myself one of them, but I thank you for that introduction. It was very kind of you. If we talk to some of the bigger eBay sellers, they say, yes, there's a little bit of reversion to the mean happening. We had the pandemic. We had people trapped buying things online. Now we're reverting to the mean a little bit, and it's summer slowdown. And then those two factors are a problem. Now, those two things do not, in my opinion, absolve eBay from the issues that are on the platform right now. Now, do you want me to jump right in, or you want to jump in on that?
No, yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I as well, I have 9,800 items in my store, and yeah, I'm experiencing
all those
errors
things, and seeing all those things in the macro economy. Okay, so then there's two issues that I see on eBay. So we'll divert it into two. The very first one on this side is the buy side. One of the issues that I am noticing that has been going on for a long time and hasn't been fixed is that when you search on eBay, and this may be a regional thing and maybe not everybody is experiencing this, but they're showing international items first, or items are not showing up. For example, if I put snooker balls up, sometimes when I'm doing my research and I look for snooker balls, none come up. However, when I go onto the Google search engine, eBay items will come up in the Google search engine. I click on it. Then I see a listed item. And on top of that, I see all these recommended items that are the exact same thing. So what is the issue with the search algorithm that it's not showing a seller's items? And the reason, in my opinion, this is a big deal is because most of your buyers, you want to capture them and complete the sale in the time that it takes for them to wait for the red light to go to green, right? Maybe they're sitting at a red light, they're looking at their app, they're thinking about something, they want to buy it. You want to get that sale very, very quickly, because the buyer's attention span is like the length of a goldfish's attention span. You want to capture, make the sale, and move on.
Yeah.
So that to me is a big, big issue, is that the items aren't showing up. When the items do show up, and the buyer goes into someone's listing, makes the purchase, and as soon as the sale is completed, they're showing other promoted items. Some of those promoted items are going to be cheaper. Again, this is a problem because eBay has already completed the sale. So the buyer's going to move on. If they can get something cheaper, some buyers will. So they'll click to the next listing. They'll want to buy it, but first they got to cancel the sale with you. They cancel the sale with you. You don't respond right away. Maybe it takes 8 hours. Now maybe this buyer's changed their mind and they don't want to buy it all. So again, they have the sale. That's the hard part, is getting the sale. The buyer wants the item, sale captured, and they move the sale to someone else. I think it's a big mistake. Do you know what I'm talking about with those promoted listings? It's an issue with a lot of sellers are having right now. What's your take on that?
Yeah, issue with me is I've had buyers come and ask, "Hey, I have items in my cart, but I can't make offers on them. How do I combine shipping?" And I'm just
Yes.
like, "Well, I've never had that happen before, like ever in 2.5 years." But I've had 2 messages in the last 2 months, where people are like, "I can't check out. Like,
Yes.
I don't want to pay $8.95 on 6 items each shipping." So
Yes.
that's strange.
And they don't know, right? They don't know about, even if you have combined offers, if eBay is not showing that to them or automatically creating that calculation for them, then the buyer's just going to move on. You know what? I'm not going to pay. I'll delete the app and I'll move on. So I think Bo's frozen, but I'm going to keep going.
Okay, I'm
yeah,
back.
you're good. Okay, you're good.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, and that to me is in the buy side, and the way I kind of frame that is, imagine Costco and all the money they spend and time they spend on building the infrastructure, and they're selling sausages. They don't allow a sausage vendor to sit outside their sign that they're promoting their sausages for in the parking lot and sell them for 50 cents cheaper. If they did, then the buyers would just some of them would buy the sausages from the vendor in the parking lot. But that vendor didn't do any of the hard work. If you're selling a lady's jacket, I can literally copy your listing verbatim, sell it for 50 cents cheaper, and promote it at a higher rate. Now you put all the work into it, you got the sale, everything, and I'm kind of like the lamprey on a shark, and I just swoop in and take the sale from you. I think that, as far as eBay is concerned, now that pisses us off, but as far as eBay is concerned, I think overall that will lower revenues from them, even if they're rating, and we can get into the promoted rates. So that's a whole other story. I could go on for an hour about that. But I think eBay questioning the buyer as to whether or not they made the right sale is a huge problem on the platform. So those are the buy side issues I see.
Yeah. Just that example I brought up earlier, and also too, like not being able to find my own items in my store.
Right.
Is like, because I think like, oh, did I not list this? Oh no, it's just an error.
It's just not there. Yeah, it's just not there. And I think these perennial, I want to get into the sell side issues. I'll wait till you fuzz back in. Bo's having trouble with his internet. He's out in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. So if you can hear me and we're not frozen, I'll just keep chatting away. I should watch this live to make sure that we're still going. We frozen, Bo? Let us know in the comments. Are we frozen? We're still going? Okay. Bo's frozen. I'm still going. Okay. Let me get into the sell side part of this. Now, if you're a seller on the platform, a full-time seller, nobody knows the issues better than the sellers. James is one of the best when it comes to sussing this out. So check out his channel, My Boring Reseller Life, just to plug him.
Yep.
But we're on the site 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day, checking comps, listing items. So we know functionally how the site works better than everyone. In the past 3 years, I feel as though I have to be an expert computer programmer in order to navigate my way around the site. Now, eBay is a product of Silicon Valley. Their motto is move fast and break things. So they've been making all these changes, but us as businesses, we have not had the opportunity to adjust to these changes. They've rolled out multiple promoted listings options. They've rolled out new international shipping 2 or 3 times, from GSP to EIS to the new EIS. They have changed the way in which payments are made. They've changed the way in which items are shown, user interface, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And what happens is your lower tier of sellers, or I don't want to call them lower tier, but you have a tier of sellers that is unable to adjust to the changes because things are switching so quickly. And at the end of the day, eBay's users are not the buyers. They are the sellers, because we are eBay's customers. We pay them money, and then we get our own customers off the site. So they're spending a lot of time not only changing things, and I'm going to give you the reason why I think this is changing all these things, but they're pissing their users off. And we talked a little bit about this before the show. You have their users, their customers saying, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. eBay, if eBay were a corporation that I had to work for and I was an employee, I would be long gone already. I would not put up with this. But since we're running our own businesses, we don't really have a choice. We kind of have to roll with the punches. So, and I'll tell you why I think that is, but I'll let you jump in for a second. And what do you have to say regarding
Yeah.
that?
Well, sorry for the internet issues, but
No
I
worries.
have heard, yes. You know, that's so true that eBay's customers aren't the buyers, they're us.
Yeah,
You know, because we pay the fees. We
exactly.
pay the suggested promoted fees. The one thing I wanted to touch on was, you know, I remember the suggested promoted fee used to be 6-8% for most used clothing. Now it's 12-15%. What do you
Yes.
think is going on there? And is that eBay's push to now start focusing more on charging us sellers more? You know, because their competition also, Poshmark's expensive to sell on. You know,
Okay.
eBay has some wiggle room there.
So let me back up for a second, and I'll get into that. You might have to remind me because my memory itself goes all over the place, especially when I get excited. So backing up and looking at the big picture, eBay's revenues have stagnated for the past 5 or 6 or 7 years. They're basically more or less, with like a standard of deviation or two, they're reporting the same revenues year over year over year. So what they've tried to do on their own is build a revenue model within the platform. And they do this by, at one point, make your title bold, and we'll charge an extra $2. Cross this to another country, we charge a little bit extra money. So they tried to do it themselves to generate revenue, and almost everything they tried failed. So I read a paper from 2019, and I don't remember the company, the consulting firm, but it was from eBay, and they hired a consulting firm. I think it was Bain, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Somebody fact check me. And what that company does is it tries to maximize the revenue model. So I think Bain's consultants, who are very good at this, they're like a top consulting firm. They said you have to build these revenue models, and here's how you typically do it. So what they're doing is the easy thing. Rather than milking the cow, which is us, their customers, twice a day, they're milking us 3 times at lunch, then another couple times at dinner. They're waking us up in the middle of the night, milking us one more time. So I think everybody had to adjust to that. And of course, just like how prices in an oversupplied market are a race to the bottom, promoted listings, when your sellers are desperate for sales, are a race to the top. So you know what? Maybe I'm willing to do 10%. And then Bo says, well, I'm not getting any sales, I'll do 12. Then I notice I'm not getting sales, I'll do 14. And you just kind of keep going higher and higher and higher. And then in the dynamic promoted listing, if you don't have a cap rate there, you'll just keep going to the moon until no one can stomach it anymore. So I think that's what's going on. And then if you look at the last quarter earnings, eBay's reporting most of their, not most of their revenues, but most of their revenue increase is coming from promoted listings. Basically, we're pulling more for our own users. And I don't want to just stop there. That's one thing. And as businesses, the rules keep changing, and we say, okay, we can do that. However, if you're milking the cow 7, 8, 12, 20 times a day, and then you stop feeding it, which is what's happening because we're having all these glitches on the platform, there's only so much we can handle. And I can say with my own business, when I was selling 30, 40, 50 a day right up until March, and now I'm lucky if I get 10, and I'm running a big store. I have 14,000 items. There's $1 million in inventory. You know, you have to question what's going on. And I think that goes back to the buy side glitches that we've been seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been on the platform for not very long, about 2.5 years, but I do remember when I first started, there was nothing like this going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Like,
I mean,
no. Yeah.
sure, going back further in history, the platform, in my opinion, was worse. I've been on eBay a long time, but not a full-time seller for that long. But going back in time, you used to have to wait for money orders and cash, and they didn't send enough cash, and the dispute process was wonky. And I mean, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of scams, a lot of stuff like that happening. So it was difficult, but anything you listed sold, and it sold almost immediately. It was new. It was untarnished at that point. But yeah, at this point, it looks to me now 2 things could be happening. Oh, this is a great point. 2 things could be happening. Either they're sucking us dry as far as the fees and everything are concerned, so that
Yep.
they can roll out their new international shipping program and get market capture overseas. If they're doing that, then all is forgiven, right? We'll do our best to survive. We're not happy about it, but all is forgiven, because at the end of the day, we're going to increase our market reach. I'm okay with that. However, if they're just doing this to be greedy and they don't know what they're doing, and this whole EIS thing rolls out and turns to be a failure because they don't manage it properly, then that's a whole other story. That's a scary scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the things that you're doing now in your business to kind of, are you pivoting, or are you, what's your strategy for combating this if it continues?
Okay. So when this first happened to me, and I'm going to say this was in March, my first pivot was the macro pivot. I looked at my consumers across the board. We started seeing interest rates go up. We see consumer spending going down, debt going up, credit card debt, everything else. And I looked at the consumer segment that is still doing well. And for me, that was people that are 40 and older, right? When you're younger, all your costs are front loaded. Buy a house, marriage, kids, car, student loans, all this other stuff. So I pivoted because I noticed that my younger buyers weren't buying as much. The second thing I did is I chased a higher ASP. It used to be for me that if I could get it, I would list it. Look at me go. I can do 50, 60, 70 a day. Now I'm a little bit more careful. So I'm watching my spend. I'm not spending as much money. And the stuff that I'm getting is a higher ASP. And for your viewers, that's average sales price. So that the profit increases. So that was one of my pivots, is really to watch spend. I am on a 3-year kind of growth metric. And just so everyone knows, my growth is good. I'm 65% up year over year. And that's starting from scale. So I'm not complaining, but it is part of my model to front load the growth. And then as growth levels off, take it from there and continue this model. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Now, if I see growth fall, which I haven't so far, but if I see growth fall, I'll do what others are doing. I'll pivot onto other platforms, whatever it takes. I'll stand out in my driveway and with a sign, because I have no plan B. I'm going for this. I risked everything and I'm going for it.
So I know this might have been a lot of information for you, especially if you're a beginner reseller and you're like, Bo, this was insane. I don't even know where to start. All I ask from you as a reseller is to pick one of the tips that you learned today and start applying it to your business. You never know what is on the other side of the change that you initiate. If you guys are wanting to know a little bit about the brands that I'm looking to pick up on a daily and weekly basis, you can check out the free ebook down below, where it goes over the top 50 brands on my brand list. Included with that is current sell-through rates and a brief description. I do that for the next time you go out sourcing. Maybe you can find some of those items as well. If you want more of a condensed down version, I made a video going over my top 10 brands within that brand list, going over the styles and definitions and descriptions as to what I look out for. So I hope you guys have a beautiful, blessed day, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.